everyone. Welcome to AEW Unrestricted, the official podcast of All Elite Wrestling. I am Aubrey Edwards with my co-host Will Washington. I'm a referee. He writes stuff. We do lots of fun stuff at AEW, and we have had a very, very fun time at AEW. We have had a whirlwind of a time. I oftentimes don't know what day it is, but now so more than ever. We did All In for the second year in a row in London, England at Wembley Stadium. And then just under 2 weeks later, we had All Out at the Now Arena in Chicagoland, a historic pay-per-view for us. I think it was the sixth one. Correct me if I'm not, Will.
Sixth
total,
yes,
fifth in Chicago.
Yes.
I get the whole pandemic thing. We understand that. But This has been an absolutely insane 2 weeks. And today we're going to talk a little bit about kind of what those two pay-per-views were, like our reactions to the crazy, crazy stuff we saw, but also just some fun behind the scenes stuff that maybe you won't hear anywhere else. And this is why you listen into AEW Unrestricted, available in all your podcast feeds. Definitely hit that subscribe button. So, Will, how was All In for you? Because for me, it was just a crazy day of running around.
Same. It was interesting because the setup was very different from last year.
Yes.
And so,
the stage.
Yeah. So the pitch was in a completely different area than it was last year. But I had this kind of, but all of our, the office that Creative works out of was in the same spot as last year. So it was a very short walk last year, whereas with this brand new beautiful stage, shout out to everyone involved in making that happen, but with this brand new beautiful stage we had, it was on a completely different side of the stadium. And so there was just a lot of running back and forth if we had to get to the go position, if I had to go talk to Tony during the show and then get back to the office. It was, there was a lot of running around throughout the show, a lot of planning, even as we did a whole lot of planning the day before, a lot of rehearsals, a lot of all of that. The day of is still a professional wrestling show, and it's the biggest professional wrestling show you can put on. I love London. I really do. No, I do. This is a genuine statement. I'm
laughing because I agree with you. It's great, and we had a little bit of extra time to actually explore and learn about the area. The more so
that
than we
was
did
the
last
part.
Year.
That's what I loved more than anything, was how much more I got to explore. I will say, to our friends overseas, some of your candy ideas are great. And
is this? I know where you're going with this.
Or some of them are not so great. I don't know who came up with the idea of the shellless Skittle, but please take that back off the shelf, because at least then people won't have their tinted curiosity. But I tried it and I was like, it's no good. But I recognize that I think I just have a taste in general for I'm an American, right? So I want saltier foods. And it's just not a thing over there. But at the same time, they don't
salt anything. I don't understand it. There's no table salt anywhere you go. I'm like, what is wrong? Now I understand why everyone says the food is really bland. It's because we just expect a crap load of salt on all of our food.
And then there's the fans. It felt like there were people, last year it was really cool meeting people from kind of all over Europe, really all across the world. I remember I met somebody at the event at Box Park who immediately I noticed, wait, you have an American accent. And he's like, oh yeah, I traveled all the way from the States here. And just thinking about just the camaraderie, the fun, how, for those couple of days, we really take over Wembley, the entire surrounding area. And it's just a reminder of where AEW is today. And it got me so excited for things next year. But yeah, I had an amazing time, and I love London for that very reason.
So a fun fan story.
Oh.
So we had an event at Box Park again this year. Last year we had like the first welcome party. This one was sort of the second iteration of that. And I think this one was way better. I think it was just like the way it was really structured and what the fans got out of it was like absolutely incredible. And we had live stage performances, private party kind of hosting.
Private party. I was going to say
they were incredible. They killed it. That whole weekend, like they were the hosts of All In, like fantastic. Whoever made that call, great, loved it. So Amanda Huber and I had our little heels booth set up at Box Park, and we kind of do that as a like promotion because a lot of people look at heels and go, I don't know what this is. And then we give them the spiel and they sign up. And once they're in, they're like, this is the greatest thing ever. We had a whole event that night where we were a bunch of the people who were there in London, whether they were, members from the UK or had traveled in, we all got together in a bar. It was like maybe like 25 of us who all like got to like meet each other in person. But we actually signed up someone that day from Chile. And so not only first member from Chile, but also just to kind of comment on people are coming from all over for this show. And it was one of those like, whoa, this is insane. Like, you ever have those moments where you just like, you realize everything is bigger than you actually think it is? And
for sure.
Like, that's kind of what Wembley means to me is it's like, oh, this is much bigger than I thought it could be. Like going back to your thing about the stage, like that stage was absolutely incredible. And being someone who's been here since day one to see kind of the growth and iteration of our stages for pay-per-views. Like I walk in and immediately send a text on the ref group chat like, hey, I know where we're taking our fun photo later. And we all figured out, we get up on the stage, we take a photo right in front of it. We had to like wait for people to like finish rehearsing their entrances and stuff. But normally for like Dynamite and Collision, we'll come in along the side ramp so that we're not like blocking any sort of shots coming in. And like, I just look at Paul Turner, I'm like, we're coming down the freaking ramp today. We're like, yeah, of course. And like, we all just agreed in that moment, like, we're doing this. Like, we don't get to do this often, but this is the day we're doing it. And it was great. We had like a little like arms around moment. We just kind of like talked to each other and it's like, we did it. We're back here again. Day one, guys. Like it was friggin' awesome. And
that's
like,
amazing.
I'm coming down the ramp for the, I think I did the first match on the pre-show and I'm like high-fiving all our cameramen. I'm like, this is awesome.
You know, what was particularly great too was, 2 years in a row, which is starting to make me question some things, but 2 years in a row, the day before Wembley, it rained. And, we got rained on through rehearsals the day before. And then, but the day of the show, everything's fine. Everything is smooth and perfect weather. It's like the universe just wanted to make sure that we were able to do this show the way we wanted to do it. But there were so many cool things that happened on the show. And the beauty of it is that whether you were watching just All In or you watched 0 Hour as well, you were in for some surprises. The first major one we got was the return of Jamie Hayter. And it was one of those things like as a creative person in AEW, I do this show every week, and I don't necessarily talk about what my fingerprints are on and what they're not on. But there were this show was rewarding in a lot of ways for a lot of stuff that I have worked on, and getting to see it either come to life or execute in front of fans on the largest stage possible. And Jamie Hayter's return was one of those things that was just like to watch it happen and to see her back in front of the fans. It was something that I remember fans yelling at us that they wanted to see last year. And I hope after she did that close-up with Renee Paquette that you now understand the extent of her injuries and why it wasn't possible a year ago. But we wanted to make sure she had that moment at Wembley Stadium and that she could work her way back into the AEW fold. It's a very, very different women's roster than it was before. But that's what's very cool about this return. But I went out to watch it, actually. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to be sitting and go for this one. I am going to I want to experience this one. And I went out into the area where my family was sitting because my kids and my wife came. And I went and sat with them. I accidentally spilled the 4 people's beer, actually, and ended up having to pay for 4 fans beers. So
this was your karma for talking shit about the Skittles. Like,
yeah, it really was. No, I went out there because I'm like, I'm not going to miss this moment. And their beers were on the floor, and I stumbled over them, and I'm like, I owe you guys 4 beers. I got you. But so I went and watched it, and just to see it from that perspective, and again, the pop for Jamie's return, and to see her new look, and the surprise on the faces of Saraya and Harley, and she got to lay out the Knight family. Like, all of that was just so excellent. It was so good. And
speaking of special guests, I want to add in on this one. So one of my favorite things is, like, I would say most of us don't know what's actually happening. Like, you guys do a really good job of sort of keeping the surprises, which is great as a wrestling fan, because I get to experience it the same time as everyone else is. And obviously we all have our guesses. Like, we pay attention to the news, and like, I love Jamie Hayter, and I personally, as her friend, would have loved to see her at Wembley. So, like, fingers were crossed, right? And there's sort of this moment of when you're walking around backstage and you're trying to find where catering is in the dressing room, and then you see one of the dressing rooms labeled special guests, and you're like, wonder who's in there. And you're not just going to barge in because it's like, who knows? Who knows whose dressing room it is or whatever. Right. But the other special guest I loved seeing was Sting, who made his return to help Darby Allin. And it was just so incredible. And seeing him backstage, like, I have not met a single person who hasn't run into Sting and just isn't just all smiles.
He's
like,
the best.
He's the absolute best. And I think this is the first time I saw him since Greensboro. At his retirement match. Yeah, no, I hadn't seen him since back in March in Revolution. So I was seeing him and it was like, oh my God. I came up and hugged him. I was like, how you liking retirement? He goes, I don't know, man. I'm traveling just about as much as I was already, because he's doing a big signing circuit now. It's like, yeah, dude, just because you're retired from wrestling doesn't mean you're not working anymore. So he was really, really happy to be there. I think, like, you know, he just gets like the hero's welcome now every time he comes back. And I don't think anyone's going to not want to see Sting backstage.
I mean, I'll give a little behind the scenes story that not related to All In that, you know, I've seen him a few times otherwise, because he's popped in at Collision a couple of times, and just to say hi. And if you ever wonder if there's ever like a pop that happens backstage, when he walked in the room, there was a pop in the office. Like, we all, it was, there was, everybody was in there. It was like Tony Schiavone, Mike Mansouri, and Matt Schiavone was in there, I believe. Jimmy Jacobs, myself, Jim Peppermint, but Tony Khan too. Like, everybody's in the office, and all of a sudden Sting just walks in, and there is like an audible pop. You would have thought you were at least at like an indie show, right? Of like, because it felt like there was like, you know, there's double digits worth of people in this room, and we all just saw Sting, and everybody's just like, oh my God, Sting's here. And it was so great to see him. And so for him to get to do this at Wembley was such a cool moment. And yeah, like I said, Jamie getting to do her moment, you know, a cool thing about being able to keep that under wraps is that she's from Southampton, and so it's a trek, but it's not a huge trek. And so it's one of those, like, she got to be there, and we got to kind of keep her away from a lot of the happenings, so that it's a genuine surprise when she came out.
You don't have to worry about hiding someone when you don't need a hotel room because they have family nearby. Like, just from a logistics standpoint, it's like, how can we make sure that the fans don't see you? Oh, you're nowhere near here. This is perfect. But then, of course, you get your family there, and then it makes it the moment even more special, right? Because it's like, for her, it's fantastic. For us, it's fantastic. For the fans, it's fantastic.
Absolutely. And, you know, there were other surprises on this show. There was so much that went down, and I want to get to talking about all of it. And we're going to be doing so right here when AEW Unrestricted continues.
AEW Unrestricted, Aubrey and Will talking about All In. We'll eventually get to All Out, but like, oh my God, there's so much stuff to talk about. I don't know if we're going to be able to even fit it all in on this, but I wanted to share a fun story. So obviously we were sad to see Swerve lose, but I think all of us were genuinely happy to see Bryan Danielson walk away with the AEW championship, especially in a setting that was like that, to hear Final Countdown play in Wembley Stadium, to see his family front and center, and to hear Bryan's like personal reflection of that moment in the press conference where he said it was like his most memorable moment in wrestling. Like, just, you could not have a more perfect, I think, ending to a night than having this all go down the way it did. So after that, Bryan's now got this shiny new title.
I know where you're going with this. All right, cool. I was wondering because I'm a part of this story too, actually.
Really?
So,
okay, this will be fun. We'll see where we weave in. So Bryan's got this title, and then looks around the room and says, "Hey, can someone put this on the production truck?" And just for context, there is a safe on the production truck that we tend to keep some of the titles when talent either can't travel with them or whatever. The reality, though, is that we're on the other side of the ocean. There are no production trucks. So Bryan just kind of leaves the belt with social media, and we're just like, how's the belt gonna get to the States? So I volunteered as tribute and said, it's okay, I'll take it. Not realizing that I now have so much more respect for champions who have to carry these belts, especially that one, because it's over 30 pounds.
Swerve never left the belt with production. He took it the entire reign.
Well, I'm not surprised at all to hear that, because Swerve is that kind of guy to do that. So, just... I'm just going to put it out there. I technically held the title for longer than Bryan Danielson did in those first few days, because I had it, and then it was in my house until we ended up getting to Dynamite.
I mean, I'll say that because there's a small part of the story that's left out here, in that, so you did take the belt, but for a moment you had to get somewhere, so you left it with Amanda. But then Amanda actually had to do some stuff with the media scrum, who then left the title with me, and so I had the title through the entirety of the media scrum. And I took a selfie with it and then sent it to my wife, and I was like, possession is 9/10 the law. I am now the AEW World Champion. And then eventually I gave it back to Amanda, who gave it back to you.
Actually, Amanda gave it to Security Sam because his backpack was big enough to hold it so that he could walk down the street at Wembley and get it to me safely in the hotel lobby. So that belt went from Bryan to Social to Amanda to you to Security Sam to me.
Yes.
And that's how it ended up getting to Dynamite.
Yeah.
So
when I knew where you were going with the story, I was like, yeah, I'm actually a part of the story too. I
had heard that little bit at one point, but I have never actually gone through TSA with a belt before.
The questions. Yeah,
so
I have.
So I had the advantage of I go through the same security checkpoint every week. So I actually texted the dudes I know who work the Tuesday morning. I go, "Hey, are you there? Because I got something cool to show you guys." And I literally look at the X-ray machine, and you see the title shape clear as day in my bag. And the guy working the X-ray doesn't know me. And like when they see something suspicious and they do like the click and drag to like kind of like highlight the space, I have never seen someone click and drag faster on that X-ray than in that moment. But the guy's like, "Oh yeah, we got to look at this bag." And then my buddy, who is actually like a wrestling student nearby, is like, "Yeah, I'm going to have to take a look at your bag." And he's smiling because he knows exactly what's in it. So like we open it and he's like, "Can I touch it?" I'm like, "Sure, just no pictures. Like, don't, like, just be real quick." And he's like, "Oh my God, this is insane." My other buddy comes over. He goes, "All right, one time I saw the Lombardi trophy come through here and they would not let me look at it. So this is automatically way cooler."
Yes. I mean, I will tell you that every one of these belts I had to get through security at some point to get home to make this setup happen. And I know that the process of even getting replicas home is obnoxious, let alone getting the actual belt. I have stood behind, I've been behind Dax Harwood in security as...
when he had like three belts at once?
Yeah, and it's like, and then they have to open the belts behind, and then it always flags at security because it's a giant metal item. It's supposed to. Like,
exactly.
In theory, that's like the one place where you're like, okay, this is the process working, isn't it?
Yes.
So I get that. But yeah, the AEW Championship actually changed hands multiple times on the night of Wembley, and nobody even knew it.
Nobody knew it, but it got
like
there
literally
safely.
Changed hands.
It did multiple times. But Bryan eventually got it and showed up at Dynamite as our champion.
But speaking of the AEW World Championship, we had a casino gauntlet match. And that match was for a shot at the AEW World Championship, anytime, any place. And we had a few surprises in that match. And one of the big ones was, of course, the AEW debut of Ricochet, who is now a member of the All Elite Wrestling roster. This was a cool thing to watch come together and to finally see it come to fruition and be a real thing at Wembley Stadium, at All In. The reaction he got, like, people saw the R and were like, this could be anybody.
My favorite part of that was the last time I saw Ricochet was back during WWE tryouts. So it had been a number of years. And I see him backstage and I'm just like, well, this was inevitable. And he's like, yeah. Like, I'm reminded every time we have someone who kind of like came up on the indies the same time as the Elite and all of the other like day one guys, that there's so much history in this company before AEW. All of these guys have sort of crossed paths together. They've had storylines. I mean, the obvious one is as soon as Ricochet comes out, I think everybody's remembering that Best of Super Juniors match between Will Ospreay and Ricochet. Yes. That was actually my introduction to Will Ospreay, was watching that match. So yeah. So it's kind of one of those like, oh, this is crazy. But now you're running, oh, the possibilities. This is awesome. And that wasn't even the only surprise debut in that match.
Right, because we also had, I guess, a surprise in-ring return. I don't know what you could call it, an AEW in-ring debut, but it was like, again, seeing something cool come together. Nigel McGuinness have his in-ring moment in an AEW ring, and like immediately you just see all these fans perk up. They're like, wait a minute, Bryan Danielson could possibly win the championship. Nigel McGuinness could possibly win this. We could get Bryan Danielson versus Nigel McGuinness. And that was the genuine feeling coming in that moment. I told Nigel pretty much as soon as he came through the curtain, I was like, you're a wrestler again. You are a wrestler now. You are a wrestler who part-time commentates. That's it. Like, I don't want to see like anything else. You are a professional wrestler. And he's like, oh, maybe.
And as we've seen, he's now clearly responsible for the reunion of Oasis. So
yes.
My other favorite part of that is the way that you guys pulled it off. Like, Nigel was on commentary earlier in the day. So I don't think anyone would have even like assumed that would be a possibility, which shout out to Nigel, because planning a match at the same time as preparing to do commentary for a live wrestling pay-per-view, that's an incredible amount of work in just two separate roles.
Is such an organized commentator.
So organized.
He's so organized. He's got notes for kind of everything. And so, he prepared for commentary, and yes, he was very prepared for this match, and it was just such a cool moment to watch that happen. And then Christian Cage stole it from everybody.
Yeah, boo.
And there is so there's a lot to come from that. But we saw the coronation of Mariah May. She's the new AEW Women's World Champion. We got to see three staples of the AEW tag team division in the Young Bucks, FTR, and the Acclaimed. And the Young Bucks, it's funny that FTR had their moment last year beating the Young Bucks. The Acclaimed had their moment last year winning the trios titles. So it only made sense that the Young Bucks got their moment this year over both of those guys. Ospreay and MJF saw the return of Daniel Garcia, and we got to see a coffin match, and Darby lose his first coffin match, which is insane. And that obviously had implications leading into the next pay-per-view, which was All Out. And,
there's your segue.
All Out in Chicago. I have been at every All Out in Chicago. Only All Out I never attended was Jacksonville. I was just talking with Tony about this the other day. That I only got to go to one of the Jacksonville pay-per-views, and that was Double or Nothing, which I have a poster for sitting right here. But that was the only one, and that was the last one. But nonetheless, driving through Hoffman Estates, getting to Now Arena, brought back so many memories for me, because there was, being a part of those weekends and and getting to experience that. And then, last year we only got to do Dynamite in Hoffman. We did the main show in my favorite arena of them all, United Center, which shout out to the ice cream bar they have backstage. But now Arena, I loved our Arena, and to be back there for Collision and then All Out the next night, and the 2 weeks is a quick turnaround for a pay-per-view, but what was fascinating was that we were working to make sure that All Out mattered just as much as All In. And so you didn't walk into All Out thinking that any of these matches didn't get as much of the care as the ones that All In got. Like when you think about Swerve versus Hangman, unsanctioned, in a steel cage match, and thinking about how that match had so much history. Like literally, I walked up to both guys and I just said happy anniversary, and they were like, what do you mean? And I went, it was 1 year ago yesterday. So it was the day before. It was 1 year ago yesterday that you guys had your first promo against each other. And I had to obviously say this to them individually because they were sequestered in 2 different rooms. But I was like, it was 1 year ago that Swerve confronted Hangman. And I was thinking this whole time about the transformation of this rivalry and how this was a rivalry that started in a much different tone than it ended. Like I went back and watched a segment. It was after Hangman versus Brian Cage from a year ago. And in the post-match, Swerve directs Brian Cage to jump Hangman, and then Brian Cage and then Nana starts doing the dance, and while he's doing the dance, he's like dancing toward the hard cam, and then the Bucks sneak up behind him, and he's doing the dance, and he turns around and gets super kicked. And I thought, this was a much more fun feud a year ago than it is today, where Hangman Adam Page burned down Swerve's childhood home. Like thinking about the progress of this feud over the last year is insane.
It started at AEW, where the best wrestle, and now it's AEW, where the best actually commit crimes. Like,
yeah, it's insanity. Shout out to Tony for keeping both of them out of jail. And Swerve from last year for breaking into his house, and Hangman Adam Page this year for burning down a house. But yeah, it's a crazy main event, extremely violent. It lived up to the reputation of unsanctioned matches in AEW because, again, I don't think there was any way they could put the stamp of sanctioning this match on it, and there's no way Tony Khan could have proved that. They literally tried to decapitate each other with the lowering of the cage. Which, again, this is an insane thing to even think about. We saw a syringe. We saw a gruesome steel chair shot. Just all of it was wildly violent.
I've got a couple thoughts on this, but we're going to take a break real quick, and we'll talk more about it when we come back. AEW Unrestricted, Aubrey and Will, and we were talking about All In, and we've transitioned to All Out. I loved the general discourse online of All In was basically like this positive celebration of wrestling, and then All Out is for the sickos. Like,
I had to steal a quote. I had to steal a quote from my buddy Lyric, who posted, "All In." She said, "If All In is what dreams are made of, All Out is what nightmares are made of."
Yes, it's really great because I feel like last year was similar, where. And we didn't even have a weekend in between, but last year's shows felt very different. Like All In and All Out had a very distinctly different feel. And I think we even got farther apart this time. Yeah. Just proving you cannot miss a single pay-per-view.
Here's one you'll appreciate, because I have to give credit to Mafu on this one. But he said, if All In was Ocarina of Time, All Out is Majora's Mask.
Oh, 100%.
Yes.
Oh, and I love that personally. Big fan of that.
I figured you would love that one.
But yeah, no, it's like one of them is like, okay, it's definitely based on the other, but it's a little bit more sick and twisted.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough to get to watch this backstage in talent viewing. And sort of one of the things that happens with these pay-per-views is there's always so much going on. There's a lot going on before the match. We're filming packages and promos and all these things. And then after matches, we're getting like live reactions from people. We're kind of setting up for like where the stories are going to be going after. And it definitely felt with All Out, this was the first time I had noticed literally everyone is just sitting in the talent viewing area, just watching this. And like not a single eye is blinking. And I remember distinctly, now mind you, I'm sitting there with a lot of wrestlers and we've all done a bunch of stupid shit in our careers, right? But you see Swerve pick up this cinder block and we're like, okay, cool. How bad is that? And then just thud. And as soon as the thud happens, the amount of people saying, nope, 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 like no one wanted anything to do with that. So when you suddenly get a bunch of people who also do this for a living, who are champions in their own right, who have done incredible things, who are considered legends, immediately you see something and go, oh, no, 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 no. And that's not only the first time they do that in the match. Like there were so many things that elicited these negative and just like, just positive even, just from the sake of like an art perspective, like what Hangman and Swerve did to each other. And to just see artists appreciating artistry in that moment was so freaking cool. And one of the things that I love about being able to be backstage and experience it, it's just wrestling on a completely different level, being appreciated by peers. It was so cool.
Yes, it very much was. And the cinder block, God, it made me shriek so hard. I was sitting in Go watching this match and just watching everything happen the way it was. Swerve had some really cool gear.
Shout out to Ryan Loco for making some really incredible shots of the house burning down.
Yes.
Which it's like, we're talking about all the crazy stuff that happened in this match, but we have arson a couple days before. So, you know, but the fact that there's this quick turnaround and the pictures are literally on Swerve's gear. Absolutely insane.
Yes. But before that, we had so much else happen on the show, right? Like we had MJF versus Garcia and a crowd that was very much there for Garcia. And Max picked up the win, but I think Garcia ultimately got the last laugh. You know, we saw the Bucks retain the titles over Claudio and Wheeler, but that was not going to be the last time we saw Claudio and Wheeler throughout the show, right?
Dude.
And talk about that in a second. We saw Mercedes Moné definitively with you in the ring there retain the the TBS championship over Hikaru Shida. And you know, it was a lot of the show was interesting from a referee perspective because again, we talked about this last year because it seems to be the trend for All Out, which is that you know what matches you're going to referee when you get to a pay-per-view. But
I didn't know this one.
You didn't know this one because there's no Jericho match on the show. And so as I was watching, it was almost like throwing me off which matches you were reffing because I have to ask you not just about the TBS title match, but we'll get to the other one in a second. But getting to be in there for Shida and Mercedes Moné, you know, that had to be special. Getting to see two people who are so important to AEW's history, both on a recent perspective and on a grand scheme. But Aubrey, possibly one of the greatest matches I've ever gotten to see ever. Will Ospreay versus Pac for the International Championship,
bro. So the way I actually got this match is, do I want to tell this story? Yes. So Paul Turner, senior official, really freaking great guy. And definitely is just fantastic at making sure that his team of refs get really cool stuff. And one of the things that's been like a huge thing of note, I think in the back of our minds without any of us really saying it, is we don't know how many times we have left with Brian. And kind of going back to All In a little bit, that was one of the things that really made me proud of the referee team at All In, was seeing Paul Turner in the main event, because Paul Turner didn't get to do it last year. And I know I told him personally, I was like, dude, if you're not in the main, I don't want to do Wembley. Like, you've earned this. You are our biggest cheerleader. You are a fantastic senior official. You need to go do this match. Like, it might be the last one with Brian. Do it. So this time we're just talking about it, and he goes, I really kind of want Bryce to have this one. We're like, yeah, no, we'll give Bryce Brian. Like, that way then he could have one. This might be the last one, so he can say he got one, because I got the one with Jeff Jarrett. Like, we're having all of these opportunities where people have their potential last chance to work with.
And you know the story, but I'm very happy Paul got to have that All-In main event, by the way. That is
there's a lot more to that I can't say, but it's just like, seeing Paul Turner in that ring at All In made me so insanely happy. Almost happier than seeing Brian win the title, which is saying a lot, because Brian is legit my favorite wrestler. Like, Paul Turner is that great of a guy. So we're sitting there, and he's like, well, I think I want to do this. I think I want to do this. Is there anything you're interested in? Which is like, I'm looking at the card going, well,
kid in a candy store.
Right. I'll just take everything. Like, can I? And All In, I ended up doing 3 matches in a row, which there's a whole reason for that. And maybe that's a story for another time. And this one, I definitely wanted a little bit of space. So knowing kind of who had what and everything, I'm like, okay, I'll do Mercedes and Shida, because that one's sort of the latest one on the card that wasn't already reserved. And I did want to do that one, especially because Shida's mom was present and watching. And yes. I don't think Shida's mom had ever really, it was like her second visit to the United States ever. The only other time she'd watch her wrestle was literally the night before at Collision. So like, being a part of this thing, like being a part of a match. Did you
sign her book, by the way?
I did. Like, yes. She was walking around with the autograph book and there with the program and like getting everyone's autographs. It was so adorable.
Yes.
Like,
Shida's mom was great.
Shida's incredible. And now that I've met her mom, I understand why, because her mom is absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Looks exactly like her, but yeah.
So much so.
I don't know what she said to her mom, but she said something in Japanese to her mom. And then her mom just looks at me and goes, oh, and then it's just like, and I'm like, okay, great. Yep. All right. It was obviously kind words, so I appreciate that. Hikaru Shida. Shout out Shida's mom.
So I picked the Mercedes Shida match, and the one that had the most amount of space in it, because the first two were already divided between Bryce and Knox, and was like, oh, I'll take Will and Pac. Like, this is, I haven't done a Will Ospreay match at a pay-per-view. This is probably going to be really cool. And I like that probably. It was like, of course it's definitely going to be cool. So that match is insane, because it starts with my favorite moment in wrestling, where the two guys haven't even touched at all, and the crowd's already losing their minds. And I remember distinctly at the first double down, you have both these guys laying there, and the crowd is doing a standing ovation. The dudes are literally laying on their backs, not wrestling, and they're getting a standing ovation. Like, I don't think it's anything that I had ever seen before. And as a performer, it's really crazy, because I know how much time this match is allotted for, and I know where they're going. So when they're doing crazy stuff in like the first 3 minutes, as a fan, I want to be reacting like, oh my God, this is insane. But as a referee, I know I have to hold it back, because I know where we're going, and I need my selling and my reactions to sort of scale with where they're going. But it was just trying to like not look like that kid in the candy store throughout this entire match. I felt so
happy for you. Like, I haven't felt this happy for you since All Out last year, when you reffed Ricky and Brian. And
which was absolutely incredible too. Like, I feel like All Out is like my jam now. Like, I've had so many memorable moments at All Out that I'm like, it's now the pay-per-view I look forward to most. And then I look at my calendar and see Wrestle Dream is like 5 weeks away. So
you reffed the main event at the first All Out. So like, yeah, it's true. It is a important show to you. But yeah, it's such an incredible match. It was just one of those things. I sat in the office to watch that one, and everybody in the office was just like, these are really great professional wrestlers. I think is the just the best way we can put it. It was just like, everybody just took a deep breath after the match was over, and it's like, man, these guys are so good at what they do, and to get to deliver that match. Mm-hmm. I can't say.
I'm speechless. Yeah, it was so speechless. Good. I'm so happy for my coworkers that it went off so well, because so many things can go wrong, right? And there's so many people involved with the match. It's not just the wrestlers and the referees. It's coaches. It's the camera team. It's literally everybody in the truck making sure that this match gets captured and presented in the best way possible. So there are so many people who have their fingerprints on this that just it's it's wrestling at its absolute best. I absolutely love it.
Beautiful. And such a team effort. And you know what's so fascinating is that, you know, the hard thing about pay-per-view cards is I think everybody looks at the cards when they come out and they kind of go, man, I hope I don't have to follow Will Ospreay.
Oh my God. Did I tell you I was the person that told Willow she was following Will Ospreay?
Yeah, and then like the day before, she was like, I don't care where we are on the card. I just hope we don't have to follow Will Ospreay. And then
so
she had to follow.
We're sitting
Will
in the
Ospreay.
locker room, and we're sitting there talking about stuff. And Willow's like getting dressed and goes, "Hey, what match do you have?" I'm like, "Oh, I have the third match." She goes, "The third match? What's the third match?" I'm like, it's," and I know she's number 4. I'm like, it's Will and Pac, and she's just like, but. I think it is worth, like, I 100% think that these ladies...
Because you know where I'm going with this.
Dude, I'm just going to let you, like, you go.
Because Ospreay is a tough act to follow.
So tough.
But it didn't matter because Willow Nightingale and Kris Statlander followed and delivered in spades. And it was like... The crowd, they had them on the edge of their seat. They had them in the palm of their hand the entire way through. You would have not thought that one of the best matches of the year took place right beforehand because Willow and Kris ended up giving one of the best matches of the year themselves. Easily one of the best women's matches to ever take place in AEW. Willow and Kris, they absolutely, I think, captured what the rivalry was supposed to be. Their entire way through. You know, this is a story that's been told for 9 months now, over 9 months. It started last, hell, you could really go back a year for their story. But as far as what we were telling on TV, their story goes much further back.
Much further back, all the way to the Indies.
Yeah. And so for these two to get to do this the way that they did, I thought hats off to both of them. They deserve every bit of praise and accolade that they get for this match.
So one of the things I want to praise is just the sheer amount of like guts that Kris Statlander has, because anytime someone's putting together gear for a street fight, you typically end up thinking like, okay, jeans, maybe a white shirt, all that sort of stuff. Nope. Kris Statlander comes out in what's basically the same as like rave gear, like a ton of exposed skin, which is saying a lot. Like that you're just going to come out, you don't care at all. You know you're going to get hurt. And then to have it backfire with her ending up doing the split on the tacks. Like I don't think anyone in this crowd has experienced something like that, but I think all of us can imagine what that felt like. And that's why these matches, like, as much as I don't like actual real violence, it's why I love these kinds of matches, because it's the way that we elicit the feelings of the audience for them to experience everything along with us. Like, I don't know what it feels like to have tacks anywhere near my coochie, but I can imagine how much it hurts.
You know, I can't speak to that either. What I will say about this match is that having this and the Swerve Hangman match on the same card is already a tough enough task. But what was fascinating was the difference between the two matches, and that when you look at how kind of methodical Swerve and Hangman was versus the urgency of Willow and Kris, that, you know, Willow and Kris was very, they got to utilize
chaotic.
The entire arena, and it was so chaotic. Yeah. And they, it was very much, there was a sense of urgency to get to victory between the two, versus with Swerve and Hangman, where that was like, I'm going to torture my opponent as much as I can. But they're both great in their own right for two completely different reasons. And this match ended up seeing Kris Statlander take the victory, a victory that I think she's been, she's been wanting to put kind of an exclamation point on this rivalry, and for her to get to do that, I think, is probably the coolest thing about one of the coolest things about this show, on a show that had so many cool things. To see this go down the way it did, it's very happy. And the only other thing to really talk about on this show, Bryan Danielson defeated Jack Perry the AEW
Dude.
World Championship. Jack Perry, I think, put up a very, very valiant fight. Proved that he belonged in this conversation for a lot of the discourse that surrounded whether or not he should have been in this match with Bryan Danielson. I think he proved that he could hang. But Bryan Danielson ultimately kicked his effing head in. But the aftermath.
Oh my God. Like, this is our first attempted murder we got to witness on the show.
Yes.
I think it's shocking to see what we saw. But the thing that really stuck out to me in this moment was Wheeler Yuta, who there's a moment where everyone's getting into the ring and Mox is holding Bryan's face on his chest and he's kissing him. And you start to see Wheeler sort of piece things together that something doesn't feel right. And then as everything's sort of falling apart, you have Pac holding Yuta back. Yes. And just it seems like you're just, it was like Simba and Mufasa. Like that's what it honestly felt like. And I was trying to hold back tears of like how heartbreaking this moment is, or seeing Bryan's face after Claudio hits the Euro and seeing just the sheer like, oh my God.
Bryan couldn't even register the pain of that because because he's still stuck on the shock of the betrayal.
Mm-hmm. It's just it wasn't necessarily just what Moxley did to Bryan from a physical standpoint that sticks out. It's the emotional roller coaster that the performers go through in this moment, but also that we as fans go through in this moment. And realizing, I mean, we talk about history with these wrestlers like Claudio and Bryan and even Bryce, who was in that match. They all go back so far to like kind of work in the same indies together. And to see it fall apart the way that it did with, you know, these guys hold gold together. Like this is so sad. I don't even have words to describe like how this feels. It's heartbreaking. It's depressing. It's gut wrenching. It's just sad.
So sad. Like I said, this was the Empire Strikes Back to A New Hope. When you think about the shows back to back, and how you had a great time as far as your enjoyment of it, but man, did it take a toll on you. By the way, can't make Star Wars references without shout out James Earl Jones, rest in peace. But
speaking of Mufasa,
yeah, I know, right? We've referenced Mufasa and Star Wars here, and
all within a minute.
Yeah, but what a great span of 2 weeks, all in, all out. You get a bigger gap next year because we got All In July, and so at least this time around you're going to have a bit more space between All In and All Out. But God, I can't wait to do this again next year. I can't wait. All In next year in Arlington, All In Texas. It's going to be so much fun. Y'all in. And I can't wait to continue on doing more episodes of AEW Unrestricted. And thank you for being a part of AEW Unrestricted. You can catch new episodes of this show at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. It's available every Thursday. Don't forget to leave us a rating and review. And check out new video episodes on our YouTube channel. Just search AEW Unrestricted. It's available every Monday. And hit that subscribe button so you never miss an episode. And catch up on all the latest AEW shows on the go when you download the TNT and TBS apps from the App Store and Google Play. Then sign up for our weekly newsletter at tntdrama.com/elitefleet to get updates on upcoming shows, live events, sweepstakes, merchandise, and more. AEW Dynamite is on TBS every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. We've got Rampage every Friday night on TNT at 10 p.m. We've got Collision live every Saturday night at 8/7 Central on TNT. Ring of Honor, of course, streaming every Thursday on Honor Club. Otherwise, folks, I'm Will Washington. She's Aubrey Edwards. We'll see you next time. Have a great day. Peace.